but I can't see past Dexter Lumis winning. All right. Oh, you're a good boy. You're a good boy. Hi, Casey at Praise the Graps here. I know a lot of my content has been pretty AEW focused, but that's just the tip of the iceberg of the wrestling that I watch. It's WrestleMania week, so I've decided let's go through the cards for TakeOver and WrestleMania and decide what the best match of the week is going to be. Okay, let's just go in the order that Wikipedia's got. First up, we've got Kushida versus Pete Dunne. So I really wanted Kushida to win the gauntlet match. I know he and Gargano just faced each other at the last TakeOver, but Kushida's just way too good to be such an afterthought. And Gargano being a heel champion really needs a babyface challenger, and that really only leaves Jake Atlas, Kushida, Bronson Reed, and I guess Dexter Lumis, who is a babyface. Kushida and Pete Dunne, both being very technically proficient wrestlers, will definitely complement each other very well and probably result in a very good match, but it's just not what I wanted from the Gauntlet Eliminator. Next up, we've got MSK versus Grizzled Young Vets versus Legado del Fantasma. Legado del Fantasma feels like an extra appendage on this match. I really would have preferred to see them in a match against like Everrise to determine the next number one contenders. I've been a fan of the Rascals for quite some time now, and Grizzled Young Veterans are probably the best heel tag team I've seen since the Revival. MSK versus Grizzled Young Vets is money. Their Dusty Cup final was phenomenal, and I could watch these guys wrestle once a week for the next 5 years. After that, we've got the Gauntlet Eliminator match. This match is going to be very exciting, but by definition, it's kind of got to be rushed. And a quick, probably clean loss on each of what is essentially the top of the mid-card is not going to do anybody any favors. That said, this is Praise the Graps, and we're here to be positive. Leon Ruff and Swerve are probably going to have a great little match. Swerve is really getting to know this heel character that he's fallen into. And there's not a better babyface to get heat on than Leon Ruff. Like, he's such a small guy. He's very likable, and just throwing him around, anybody's going to get heat. Next up, we've got Bronson Reed, and either Swerve or Ruff progressing will be a great matchup for Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed is such an interesting guy because he can toe the line pretty well between a heel and a babyface because he's very likable, but he's also very imposing. He's certainly going to go through and face Cameron Grimes, and Cameron Grimes is going to try and buy him off, and he's going to fail, and he's going to get clobbered for his efforts, and Bronson Reed's going to continue to progress. Then we've got Bronson Reed versus Dexter Lumis, which I cannot see past Dexter Lumis winning, but I can't imagine anybody wants to see another round of Dexter Lumis versus Johnny Gargano. I think Bronson Reed versus LA Knight is a great end to the Gauntlet Eliminator. And after defeating either Swerve or Leon Ruff, Cameron Grimes, and Dexter Lumis, I can't see how Bronson Reed would beat LA Knight. It would be great. It would be a much better match if they did Bronson Reed versus Johnny Gargano, but I feel like it would make more sense for Eli Drake to win. And don't get me wrong, if either Johnny Gargano or Eli Drake were a babyface, that would be a fantastic match. But even then, that said, NXT doesn't really care about character dynamics, at least not in the mid-card. It's not like LA Knight versus Johnny Gargano would be a bad match. What I want for the Gauntlet Eliminator is Bronson Reed. What I expect is LA Knight. And what I dread is Dexter Lumis. After that, we've got Walter versus Tommaso Ciampa. Pun very much intended, but this match is going to slap. This isn't a match you go into with a bunch of suspense and intrigue. There's no way Tommaso Ciampa leaves with the WWE NXT UK Championship. Yes, I am going to continue to say all 8 of those redundant-ass letters because I alone find it funny. This is a match you watch because you're a ghoul and you just want to watch 2 men slap the absolute piss out of each other. Don't get me wrong, there is some intrigue in the form of Timothy Thatcher. He, as a founding member of Ring Conf, has a lot of history with what went on to become Imperium. And They've been teasing some kind of something happening between Timothy Thatcher and the rest of Imperium, and I'm left wondering, if Timothy Thatcher joins Imperium, does Fabian Eichner just go back to upping downs full time? The main event of TakeOver Stand and Deliver Night 1 is Io Shirai versus Raquel Gonzalez. I'm not going to lie, I'm way more into Dakota Kai than Raquel Gonzalez. This should be a great match, and I fully expect Raquel Gonzalez to walk out the new NXT Women's World Champion. Is that the best move? Maybe. Who knows? Is Gonzalez ready to be champion? Sure, why not? It's NXT, it's meant to elevate people. Is there anything left for Shirai to do as champion? Not really. With Gonzalez as champion, we could get a Gonzalez-Kai feud, and that should be pretty fantastic. Like, that's a TakeOver main event right there. Heel champions tend to reign for quite some time in NXT, so I don't expect Dakota Kai to win that match. But coming out of that, you could have a babyface Dakota Kai. Team Kick could reunite, God willing, if Tegan Nox's knees recover. We've got those new NXT Tag Championships. I know I'm bringing a lot of my own bias to this. I am higher on Dakota Kai than Raquel Gonzalez. Raquel Gonzalez has been great in the matches that she's had. She had a match with Rhea Ripley that was phenomenal. She's got that great, really strong back. I just hope that back is strong enough to carry NXT's women's division. All right, day 2, and we're on to the NXT Women's Tag Championships. I love Shotzi Blackheart. My girlfriend loves Ember Moon. I have not been very high on them as a tag team. I'd love to see them as singles once again, especially with Raquel Gonzalez at the top of the food chain. Also, I think that the weekly Gargano segment would be a lot of fun if the Way had the Women's Tag Championships. It seems to me that even more than the main roster, NXT is really going to be going for a reset on the other end of WrestleMania. Either way, this should be a really good match, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes on the other end. Next up, we've got the Cruiserweight ladder match. Your mileage may vary, but for me, the speaking out allegations loom heavy over this match. If you can get past that, a Cruiserweight ladder match is always a lot of fun. I'm sure this match will deliver. Next up, we've got the North American Championship match. Johnny Gargano versus the winner of the Gauntlet Eliminator. We've got really 3 options to win this match. You could make an argument that Cameron Grimes could win this match, but seeing his position in the Gauntlet, I don't think he's going to beat Bronson Reed, Dexter Lumis, and LA Knight. Possible, but it's incredibly unlikely. So you're really looking at Gargano versus Bronson Reed, Gargano versus Dexter Lumis, or Gargano versus Eli Drake. Gargano's always been the kind of guy that can have a great match with like a broom. He's always just been kind of missing that personality. Turning heel has really brought that out of him. All the problems that I have with the Gauntlet Eliminator aside, Johnny Gargano versus Bronson Reed would be phenomenal. Johnny Gargano versus Eli Drake would be great. Even better if one of them was a babyface. Johnny Gargano versus Dexter Lumis has already happened, and if they did it again, it would probably be the exact same match. Really looking forward to this match. Johnny Gargano always delivers. Next up, we've got Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly. Without a doubt, this has been the best built match of WrestleMania week. The Undisputed Era has been a staple of NXT for years, with 0 signs of dissension. You'd think that in not plotting this out as a long-term story, it would detract from the gravitas of the story, but I'd actually argue that it enhances it. In solidifying the union of Undisputed Era for so long, it feels like a genuine loss in their dissolution. Cole's betrayal feels real because they never faltered. And Cole's motivation to put O'Reilly in his place is completely informed by him watching O'Reilly fail twice to ascend. This is going to be one of those matches that you remember. Like, this is going to be one of those matches that's talked about for a long time. And if I were to bet, sight unseen, if I were to put money on which match is going to be the best of the week, I'd gladly put money on this. Finally, the main event of TakeOver Stand and Deliver Night 2 is NXT Men's World Champion Finn Balor versus Karrion Kross. Finn Balor has felt like a genuine world champion for his entire run. I really think he was the right person to win. This feels like a clash of titans. I haven't been as big a fan as I am of Killer Kross. I have not been a huge fan of the way he's been booked, but I feel like since he had to relinquish the title to injury, it's really humanized his character. It's taken away from a lot of the spooky random stuff that they had him doing when he first arrived and he took the title from Keith Lee. But I feel like him having to relinquish the title, having to see him injured, it made him seem like less of a monster and more of a man. It's going to take some hard work to build him into an unstoppable force. But I think that hard work is going to be worth it, because when he eventually has to pass on the title, it won't ruin his character as much as it would have had he just been this monster. All in all, I feel like this match is going to be one of the best matches of the week. It has the potential. It absolutely has the potential to be one of the best matches of the week. So I'm probably going to enjoy TakeOver more than WrestleMania. So in the name of positivity, I'll probably try to keep my WrestleMania predictions brief. We start off with Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks. When Bianca won the Rumble, this felt like the biggest match WWE could possibly do. But because of Reginald and not one but two very unnecessary title matches, they've muddled what could have been a potentially pillar-shifting match into something that I see people just flippantly posting about. WWE has made people not care about Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair. How? How did you fumble that? I still care. The standard that I continue to hold WWE to is, despite whatever horrendous booking they put in front of us, the match should still probably deliver. And I trust that this match will deliver. This could have been match of the week. It still can, but it probably won't be because the build has been terrible. Next up, we have the WWE Championship. I feel really bad for Drew McIntyre this year. He was robbed of his WrestleMania celebration last year, and even though he seems primed to get it this year, Bobby Lashley is just in peak form. This Bobby Lashley is beloved. And with the breaking up of the Hurt Business and the random insertion of Baron Corbin, I gotta think WWE is doing whatever they can to make sure Bobby Lashley gets booed, and I still don't think it's gonna work. I'm really looking forward to this match, but even I'm torn. Bad Bunny versus Miz is happening. For the life of me, I don't know why they're not putting in Damian Priest and John Morrison. Best thing I can say is it's probably not going to be my bathroom break. Next up, we got New Day versus AJ Styles and Omos for the Raw Tag Team Championships. Should be a spectacle, if nothing else. Big guys like Omos are really good hot tags, and getting AJ and New Day in the same ring, gonna be phenomenal. No pun intended. I'm still really disappointed we're not getting Mustafa Ali versus Kofi Kingston at WrestleMania. It seemed like the perfect story, especially with Retribution breaking up. You've got Mustafa Ali just as crazy as he's ever been, looking for somebody to take it out on, and who else would he try to but Kofi Kingston? Probably not going to hate this match. Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon in a steel cage at WrestleMania. Miz, you're off the hook. We got a bathroom break. Maybe Shane jumps off of something. That could be cool. Next up, I desperately hope this opens the show. We got Seth Rollins, Cesaro. They are going to kick the shit out of each other. It is going to be fun. Everybody will universally enjoy this match. Not everything needs to be complicated. Not everything needs to be a kidnapping or a family being torn apart. Seth just doesn't like being spun. He finds it insulting and emasculating, and he doesn't like it when Cesaro does it. But Cesaro's going to do it anyway, because Seth's a bastard. I think Seth was complaining that Cesaro spun him 22 times. You know the crowd is going to be chanting, counting along as loud as humanly possible. This is exactly what we need to start the return to normalcy. We just need some fun. Please, WWE, I beg of you, just do something right. All right, that's all for day one. What do we got for day two? The Blue Universal Championship match. We got Roman versus Edge versus Daniel Bryan. I really like the addition of Daniel Bryan into this match because before Daniel Bryan was added, it really felt like a foregone conclusion that Roman was just going to tear through Edge. With the addition of Daniel Bryan, there's no champion's advantage in this triple threat match. And since Bryan has been added, Edge has started to show some cracks and the Ultimate Opportunist has started bubbling back up. If any version of Edge is going to be successful in this match, it's the Ultimate Opportunist. It's heel Edge doing whatever it takes to win. That makes this match so much more exciting. I can legitimately see any one of these three men leaving as champion. And that's exactly what I want to close WrestleMania. And I know it's a long shot, but if Edge wins this match, I can see him bringing the big gold belt back. Next up, we've got the Raw Women's Championship. Asuka and Rhea is probably the last singles combination I would have picked out of Charlotte, Asuka, and Rhea. But obviously with everything that's going on with Charlotte right now, she kind of had to be taken out of the mix. Honestly, taking Charlotte out of the picture for now is probably going to lead to a better division going forward. This should be a great match, but more importantly, a great change in the landscape of a division that seems aimless somehow, despite the presence of Shayna Baszler, Peyton Royce, Naomi, Nikki Cross, Alexa Bliss. Speaking of Alexa Bliss, next up, we've got The Fiend versus Randy Orton. I know there's going to be fans in attendance, but please let this be a Firefly Funhouse match. Last year's Firefly Funhouse was a Lynchian examination of Cena's history, his psyche, the people he stepped over, and those not lucky enough to be John Cena. It was fresh and exciting and clever, and the same thing can be done with Randy Orton. And Randy Orton's a very different beast to John Cena, but one who's made just as many ripples, if not more. And I just can't watch a 20-minute chin lock with a melted zombie clown. Switching gears here, we've got the Intercontinental Championship match between Big E and Apollo Crews. Now, I'm recording this before SmackDown, so by the time we get to Mania, this could be stepped up. Very excited about this match. I'm still very apprehensive about Apollo Crews' new character. I know it really resembles the Uhaa Nation character that he did on the Indies, but Uhaa Nation did not have Vince McMahon in the driver's seat. All of that aside, Apollo Crews and Big E have great chemistry, and they're just big, beefy boys slamming meat. What's not to love? There's really no way this cannot be a good match. I expect Apollo Crews to win, and we can start rehabbing Big E towards the world title. Hashtag Roman Big E for SummerSlam. Next up, Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. You could have put Logan Paul anywhere, but you put him with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. The best technical match of the entire week, most likely. You could have put Logan Paul with Matt Riddle. I would have gladly skipped it. You could have put him with Randy Orton. Have him film The Fiend's corpse. I love Sami Zayn. I love Kevin Owens. They're two of the most creative people you've got in WWE. Maybe, if anybody could pull this off, it's them. You took the match I might have been most looking forward to this weekend, and you made it the one I'm the most apprehensive for. It's Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, so I won't be skipping it. Finally, the last match we've got on the WrestleMania card is Matt Riddle versus Sheamus. Again, the speaking out allegations loom heavy above this match. Your mileage may vary, but if you can get past it, Sheamus has been as good as ever. Despite what I may feel about Matt Riddle, the guy can go. It's great to see Sheamus in a showcase position after the year he's had. I just wish it would have been with anybody else. We've gone through every match WrestleMania weekend. I think we've got 4 big contenders for match of the week. I think we've got Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole. We've got Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre. We've got Roman Reigns versus Edge versus Daniel Bryan. And we've got Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair. If I were to put money on it, I would say Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly probably steals the week. I don't know how to end this. So, as always, I want to hear from you. What do you think the best match of the week is going to be? Also, what else will you be watching WrestleMania week? This is a very busy week. I'll be watching all of WWE's main shows this week. I'll be watching AEW Dark Elevation, AEW Dynamite, Impact, and Impact's pay-per-view. I believe it's Hardcore Justice. Even, I'll be watching Ring of Honor. I think Danhausen's on tonight. So, love that Danhausen.